us. And the friends of the Joint Service Open House and donors, AAFES Carolina ATMs and the AFA Thomas Anthony chapter. Those are folks who have been very, very good. And certainly the airmen, sailors, Marines, and soldiers here at the base who have worked so hard to make the experience good for all of us, from picking up trash to directing traffic. And I would like to make one mention about the trash, and that would be that we hopefully will ask you to be good neighbors, so we won't have to be concerned about the airmen and sailors and Marines to pick up the trash after us. If you'll be so kind as to make sure any trash you have or see gets picked up and tossed in an appropriate container, we sure would appreciate that a lot. Coming up in just a minute, Warrior Aviation, and we're getting started right now. I want you to look to your left. Diving in right now, a very unique airplane that dates back to World War II. This is Sean Carroll in the Yakovlev Russian-built Yak-9. That aircraft being flown by Sean Carroll today is one of the most unique airplanes in the world because it goes back all the way to World War II. The Yak-9 was produced in great numbers by the Russian Air Force, but back in the late mid-1990s, at an old Yakovlev factory, enough parts, new parts, still in their original packaging, were available to build 7 of these aircraft. So even though the design of the aircraft goes back to World War II, and the age of the parts goes back to World War II, they are actually NOS, new, old stock, never been flown before, so this is virtually a new airplane. And rather than the Klimov engine that was in the original Yak-9, this has an Allison engine in it that is very much more reliable than the original. Sean Carroll goes into a 4-point hesitation roll in an airplane that just plain looks fast. Now I can tell you it also has a nicer paint job than the original. It's got some 20th century paint on it that makes it gleam really bright. Now it's my pleasure to announce and to introduce John Kaiser, call sign roll, to tell you all about Warrior Aviation. Good afternoon, roll.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the entire Warrior Flight Team, we'd like to welcome you to the Joint Services Open House here at Andrews Air Force Base. My name is Lieutenant Commander John Kaiser, and I am your Warrior Aviation announcer. That's my distinct privilege to describe for you today Warrior Flight Team, demonstration and dedication to our United States servicemen and women. From the right, crunching is L-39, are coming for a high-speed pass into a loop with an aileron roll at the top. The 2 aircraft you see flying today are the Yak-9 and the L-39 Charlie, Bandy 1. These 2 aircraft are the flagships for Warrior Aviation. Warrior Aviation is a non-profit organization headquartered in Frederick, Maryland. The Warrior Flight Team performs at air shows across the U.S. with the purpose of raising the awareness of Warrior Aviation's programs that honor and assist our wounded veterans through your donations. Please focus your attention on the M35 truck known as the Deuce right at the show center right now. The Deuce is a limousine of the Warrior Flight Team that we use to honor our wounded veterans at air shows. And the truck today, Staff Sergeant Christopher Carbonaro, U.S. Army. He's originally from New Orleans, Louisiana. In 2004, while serving with the 1st Armored Division, he was on patrol in the hatch of a Striker when his unit was hit by an IED outside of Talil, Iraq. He suffered a traumatic brain injury and continues his rehabilitation today at Fort Belvoir. Staff Sergeant Carbonaro is accompanied by his wife, Amy, and his children, Rose and Aiden. Their third child is due next month. Also riding along in the Warrior Aviation M35 Deuce, the Beast, are Matthew Davis, U.S. Army Airborne Infantry, a veteran of several overseas campaigns, and Gunnery Sergeant Earl Beatty, U.S. Marine Corps Reserve, a veteran of 2 tours, one in Iraq and one in Afghanistan. Please show your appreciation to our warriors as we thank them for their service and sacrifice. Now from the left, Crunchy's inbound to perform a double aileron roll at show center.
As the Geico Sky Typers taxi by as well.
Looks like Crunchy snuck in an extra aileron roll there. There's a triple aileron roll. Introducing today's L-39 pilot from Virginia Beach, Virginia, Lieutenant Commander retired Mark Crunchy Burgess. Crunchy is a 1990 U.S. Naval Academy graduate. He received his wings of gold in 1993 and now has over 3,600 flying hours. 2,300 of those and the famed F-14 Tomcat. Now from the right, Crunchy will perform a Navy sidle barrel roll, which is a barrel roll that pitches a full 90 degrees off the original heading. Please come by the Warrior Aviation booth located at the far right side of the flight line, not far from the C5, and find out how your company may participate in providing careers for our returning warriors. From the right, Crunchy's inbound for a high-speed pass and vertical roll. Our returning veterans need your support. Show them your support by meeting them at the Warrior Aviation booth on the far right side of the flight line. Come by and make a donation, buy a hat, or just shake a returning veteran's hand. From the right, Crunchy in the L-39. Looks like Sean and his Yak-9 have jumped Crunchy. He's engaging him in a 1v1 or 1 versus 1 combat maneuvering. They have both pitched up to set up a neutral 180L pass at show center. The Yak-9 has scored many victories over jet aircraft over the years, namely the ME-262 in World War II. They're approaching for a right-to-right pass. Fights on at the moment, and both pilots have pitched up into what's referred to as a one-circle fight. In a one-circle fight, each is turning into each other's nose in an attempt to get behind the other. Here you can see it's the advantage, the aircraft that can achieve the tightest turn radius that will gain the advantage. Sean's reverse two-circle. It looks like he has a slight advantage. In a two-circle fight, each aircraft is chasing each other's tail, and it's the aircraft that can achieve the tightest or the highest rate of turn, and not necessarily radius. The Yak-9 is continuing to consolidate his advantage. Crunchy and his L-39 are fully defensive, is now attempting to pitch up while continuing his turn. This will make him both a more difficult target and might also force the Yak-9 out in front of him. Sean is following suit to stay behind Crunchy, and they're now in what's called a rolling scissors, where each aircraft is attempting to barrel roll behind the other. During the rolling scissors, Crunchy is pitched up to the sanctuary of altitude. And it seems Sean has lost his energy. He's attempting to exit the fighter, bug out here to show left. Here you will see the advantage of having a higher top end speed as Crunchy accelerates to run down the Yak-9. Now the L-39 is going much faster than the Yak-9, will overshoot in front of him after a quick gunshot if he stays low. The Yak-9 did a defensive brake turn and forced Crunchy to overshoot. Sean is reversing with the barrel roll to another rolling scissors. Sean's called to knock it off, and the flight team is rejoining for some formation passes.
I gotta tell you, Roll, this is so cool to watch. This sort of thing is just not something you don't get to see at most air shows, because you got two good combat guys here who know how to see it and know how to do it and keep it in front of the crowd. We saw some really good maneuvering there, didn't we?
Yes. Those are some of the basic tactics that you learn in flight training as a fighter pilot. Absolutely, it's a good demonstration.
Got to keep your head on a swivel, got to be able to out-turn and sometimes go slow to gain the advantage.
Absolutely, Rob. It's a thinking man's game. From the left, the warrior flight team is joined up, and we'll do a show pass from show left. The warrior flight team is bringing awareness to the needs of our wounded veterans, and we ask your help in making these men and women not only honored in our society, but for your assistance in making this generation the most appreciated and well-adjusted in our nation's history. Please stop by the Warrior Aviation booth on the far right side of the flight line. A little bit about our Yak-9 pilot, Sean Carroll. He hails from Clinton, Maryland. He's a civilian airshow pilot who's completed over 250 low-level airshow demonstrations. Sean is an unlimited air racer and competes at the Reno National Championship air races flying World War II fighters. He works at Kimball's Complete Auto on Old Branch Avenue in Clinton. Both pilots are highly experienced pilots with thousands of hours of flight experience in both military and civilian high-performance aircraft. The Yak-9 is a fighter aircraft that represents all those who go in harm's way to fight for the freedoms we enjoy today and the freedoms that America represents. The L-39 represents U.S. Naval Aviation, who has just finished celebrating its 100th anniversary. The L-39 is painted in the Navy VX-9 colors of Vandy 1, the operational test squadron located in China Lake, California. The L-39 is taking a position immediately behind and below the Yak-9 in the slot formation from the left.
John, that's great formation work. Crunchy's looking almost straight up, isn't he?
Well, I've flown many hours in formation with Crunchy. He's definitely good at what he does. A little history on the L-39. First flew in 4 November 1969 and serial production began in 71. The design is Czechoslovak or Czech. The L-39 Albatross is a widely flown trainer light attack craft, similar in mission to the Italian MB-339. It's been in service with various former Soviet allies. The Yak-9 entered service in October 1942 and first saw combat in late 1942 during the Battle of Stalingrad. Its similar maneuverability at low altitude to the Bf-109G and the Focke-Wulf 190.
It's also fun to hear the jet engine on the L-39 and that V12 liquid-cooled Allison engine on the Yak-9. Pretty cool stuff.
Absolutely.
These aircraft really do have great history, as I talked earlier about the Yak-9 being built up from new, unused parts from the 1940s. After the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1989, a number of the L-39 aircraft came available as surplus aircraft on the open market. And in those days, the first few of the L-39s came over here for about $70,000 a piece, and for another $70,000 they could be made airworthy for use here in American airspace. They have been dubbed Cold War trophies.
Thank you for your attention today, and please visit the Warrior Aviation tent located at the far right side of the flight line. Come by and meet wounded warriors, and you can also visit the Warrior Flight Team's website at www.warrioraviation.org. On behalf of the entire Warrior Flight Team and myself, John Roll Kaiser, we'd like to thank the folks here at Andrews Air Force Base and the surrounding communities for supporting us today and coming out to the open house. We hope you have enjoyed today's flight demonstration performed by the Warrior Flight Team. And as the M35 truck returns to show right, please show them your support again with a round of applause to our returning veterans.
Thank you, John. Ladies and gentlemen, John Kaiser, call sign roll. Appreciate it, bud. Nice job. The Warrior Flight Team, everybody, a great tactical demonstration. And thanks for all that Warrior Aviation does.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks, buddy. See ya. Coming up in just a moment, we're going to turn things over to Sean D. Tucker in the Oracle Challenger. We'll be recovering our other aircraft first. David Carroll, please report to the Lost Child Facility. David Carroll, please report to the Lost Child Facility. We also have a couple of kids at the Lost Child Facility. They call them lost children, but they're found. We know where they are. We've got 4-year-old Jemiah. She is looking for her mom. Her mom has gotten lost. So if you are Jemiah's mom, go to the Lost Child Facility. You can be reunited with your kid. Also, there's an 8-year-old, DeWanda Robinson.